Recap told by Dar the Sellsword, the sealed library of the First Age. You want it told, right? Then sit down, refill your mug, and don't interrupt me, because this wasn't some rat cellar or goblin ruin. This was the sealed library of the First Age, and the stone down there remembers things older than your bloodline. They entered through doors carved with runes no living scholar could fully read. The air beyond was heavy, dust thick, the kind of silence that presses against your ears. The first chamber they stepped into was known, by the time they staggered out of it, as the shattered vestibule, and that's where the earth betrayed them. The floor didn't crack, it folded inward like a mouth. Stone erupted upward, pillars split, and from beneath the foundation of the First Age itself came a purple worm so large its shadow swallowed the entire chamber. Nyrix didn't flinch. He roared and charged before the dust even settled. Roku laughed, because of course he did. Seraphiel raised her holy symbol and radiant light cut through underground darkness like dawn forced into a tomb. Ilkin shouted, "Spread out! Don't let it line you up!" Torin disappeared. Aura unleashed eldritch fire straight into the beast's open maw, and then the worm swallowed her. Gone. Just like that. Ilkan screamed her name. The worm thrashed, smashing shelves carved into the walls. Acid hissed. Stone melted. They thought she was dead. Then the worm screamed. Not in hunger, in pain. Green light burst from beneath its plated hide. A blade punched through from the inside. Aura carved her way out of that thing like it was an inconvenience. She emerged drenched in acid and blood, coughing smoke, eyes burning, and said, "That was unpleasant." The worm died moments later under combined steel, spell, and divine fury. But the shattered vestibule was ruined, and they were already wounded. They could have turned back. They didn't. It took them nearly half an hour to move deeper, through narrow stone corridors carved with script older than kingdoms, through hallways where shelves still held rotting volumes that whispered when touched, through air that grew colder and more deliberate. They arrived at the Hall of Crushing Oaths. The chamber was circular, bare stone, no ornament, just a dash at the center and runes glowing faintly along the walls. The voice filled the room, not loud, heavy. "Prove your strength." The air thickened instantly. Pressure bore down like a collapsing mountain. The others couldn't even take a step forward. Nyrix did. He walked into the center and planted his blade into the stone to steady himself. The first wave hit him like a falling tower. His knees buckled. Ilkin shouted, "You don't have to." Nyrix growled, "Yes, I do." The second wave cracked the stone beneath his boots. The third nearly drove him flat. But he stood. 3 times the weight of the world tried to force him down. 3 times he rose. When the pressure lifted, a mantle-bound tome hovered before him, glowing like banked embers. He took it, and the room exhaled. Another half hour deeper. Corridors sloped downward. Dust thickened. The torches flickered as if something unseen watched from between shelves. They entered the gallery of shattered motion. The moment they crossed the threshold, blades slid from hidden recesses. Tiles shifted. Spears launched from walls. The voice returned. "Prove your swiftness." Roku rolled his shoulders. "Oh, this one's mine." The others retreated to the doorway. They couldn't help him. He moved. Platforms dropped into darkness beneath his feet, and he leapt before they fell. Blades sliced the air where his head had been a breath earlier. A spear grazed his side and blood marked the stone. He grinned. The second pass nearly caught him mid-spin. The third forced him to dive through a narrow opening that closed inches behind him. When the chamber stilled, he stood alone in the center, breathing hard. A blue-silver mantle floated before him. He caught it with one hand. Fun. Another descent. Another 30 minutes. The air turned colder, the light dimmer. They reached the crucible of fading breath. This chamber was quiet. No traps visible. No blades. No shifting stone. That was worse. The voice whispered, "Prove your endurance." Aura stepped forward before anyone else could speak. The air drained warmth instantly. Frost crept along the walls. Her breath came thin. The first wave hit her like sickness. She staggered. The second wave stole strength from her limbs. Ilkin tried to move toward her. The room would not allow it. The third wave felt like death itself, brushing past. Aura dropped to one knee. Nyrix shouted her name. She looked up and stood. When it ended, the green-bound mantle of endurance hovered before her. She lifted it slowly, and the library changed. The air sharpened. The silence became watchful. They marched another 30 minutes through deeper stacks, stone corridors narrowing, ancient script warning of seals and consent. They reached the final chamber, the Rotunda of the Watching Skull. Massive, circular, pillars rising into shadow, arcane rings glowing across the ceiling like constellations trapped in stone. The moment they stepped forward, the dais pulsed, and it rose. A skull the size of a wagon wheel, wrapped in writhing eye stalks, burning red with hatred older than the surface world. A Death Tyrant. Two specters peeled from the pillars like grief given shape. The first ray disintegrated part of the dais. Stone turned to dust in a blink. Torin hit the ground as a beam carved the air above him. Nyrix charged without hesitation. Roku blurred between specters and took a life-draining touch that left him pale. Seraphiel's radiant magic erupted, gold against necrotic blue. Ilkin shouted, "Central Eye! Break the central eye!" Aura unleashed everything she had left. Disintegration lanced across the chamber. Fear washed through them. Paralysis nearly froze one in place. They were exhausted. They were wounded. They were barely standing, and still they pushed. Nyrix held its attention long enough. Roku struck when its focus shifted. Torin found the angle no one else could see. Seraphiel's radiance cracked bone. Aura's eldritch fire burned through ancient rot. The skull split, the specters unraveled, and the Rotunda fell silent. They stood there, barely alive. Ilkin finally laughed, shaky, breathless. "Well," he said, "that was educational." Behind the dais, deeper stairs descended into darkness, and a spellbook they recovered spoke of the first seal, the second seal, and a warning: do not open the inner stacks without the curator's living consent. Living, meaning something down there still breathes. They left with 3 mantles claimed: Nyrix stronger, Roku faster, Aura harder to kill than before, and she had already crawled out of a monster's stomach. They didn't conquer the sealed library of the First Age. They survived it. And I promise you this, the library is not finished with them.